The reason Southport and the rape gang scandal are pivotal for British society isn't just because children were killed. Unlike America, Britain is a socialist country. We have a large, intrusive state, and we surrender a huge amount of autonomy and resources to the state. The implicit contract is that the state will then do what's best for us, the British people. This worked when Britain had established a homogenous, high-trust society with social codes that ensured that everyone both had individual rights and contributed to the common good, whether that's forming an orderly queue, returning a shopping trolley, or being kind to children instead of raping and killing them because your community sees them as infidel whores. Southport and the rape gang scandal revealed that this contract has been broken. The state won't protect us. The reasons for this are even more disturbing. Britain previously suffered terrorism. The IRA killed hundreds of Brits, but the IRA were the enemies of the British state. Now, the terrorists are on the same side as the state. Axel Rudakabana's reading material focuses on the oppression of black and indigenous people by white colonial Europeans. He declared the need for a white genocide. Labour are beholden to a far-left ideology that orders it to abolish whiteness, to decolonise, and bring social justice to white privilege. To paraphrase the woke professors who celebrated girls being raped and killed in the October 7th attacks, and as Axel Rudakabana's defence might posit, what did you all think these words meant? So the British state is in the awkward position of being ideologically aligned with Axel Rudakabana. When the IRA was attacking Britain, Britain was a country. Now we're the UK, a borderless economic zone with no national or ethnic identity. It's a weird confluence of atheistic communism and neoliberalism. There's no such thing anymore as a British person. We're all just interchangeable GDP generating nodes on an economist's chart. And none of us have any claim to this country. To say we do is racist and nationalist. For decades now, the state, and I mean the total state that includes the media, academia, the Tory party, big business and public sector establishment, has been ideologically committed to a credo that says that diversity is strength and multiculturalism is good. The state has been frantically importing people who would be historically seen as not British as quickly as possible. The Muslim population of the UK has almost doubled in the last decade. This worked well for a while as immigration tended to be lower numbers, higher value, for example the Ugandan Asians, and more assimilable. Caribbean immigrants tended to be Christian and have similar values, so this immigration worked. But as the trickle became a torrent, we started sucking in millions of people with radically different values who formed separate communities in the UK. The idea that the children of migrants would become British turned out to be a lie, as second generation migrants often cling harder to identities to cope with alienation. And unlike their homelands, which usually strictly shut down any extremism, Britain is too soft and liberal and championing of multiculturalism to provide a corrective to any zealotry. Some would say the state has irresistible incentives to do this. The Ponzi scheme of the economy can be kept spinning for another few years if we just import more people, any people. The bargaining power of British workers can be broken by having an infinitely elastic labour market. Once settled, the imports will vote leftward, which will cure Britain's resolute conservatism and maintain the leftward lean of the establishment, who know best. And of course, many in the States still believe that these gang rapes and killings are just unfortunate bumps on the road to a multicultural utopia. I mean, it's a utopia that stayed out of reach for Syria, for Lebanon, and for the Balkans, but Britain, yes, Britain will achieve it somehow. Meanwhile, the state protects its preferred communities, and the state protects itself, covering up its culpability and smearing anyone who dares peek under the veil as far-right
thuggery,
or racist. The state's social engineering has been obvious to some, but very effective. Even now, the left's commentators and thought leaders are hard at work minimising what happened and questioning the incentives of anyone who looks at these crimes. I will undoubtedly be smeared as far right for the words you're hearing right now. Getting back to the contract between citizen and state, while the state focused on protecting itself, it stripped away any structures that could have protected British girls as part of the patriarchy. Chivalry, community spirit, politeness, natural justice. Civil society was relinquished to the state, which replaced these social structures with state powers to police behaviour and speech. And as the state grew in size and became more powerful, it used these laws as weapons to protect itself and to attack its critics. People are now jailed in Britain for stickers or for memes or for understandable anger. Even now, Keir Starmer says that the Southport killings happened not because his system and his credo brought a genocidal killer to Southport, but because of a new type of online extremism. He's pivoting away from the obvious to point the finger at a mythological far right, a euphemism for his enemies. He's cynically exploiting this instant to bring through rules to punish anyone who pushes back against his suicidal ideologies. He's also promised to clamp down on Amazon selling knives, which will be as effective at stopping terror as forcing an 80-year-old woman to take off her slippers at the airport. The contract with the state is broken. The state won't protect you or your family. In fact, if the state perceives you as a threat, it will come after you. Just as the fathers of rape gang victims were targeted, just as whistleblowers were targeted, just as the victims themselves were targeted. If you want to see how it ends, look at Iran. In 1979, socialists marched alongside Islamists to overthrow the West-leaning Shah. A Marxist group, Mujahideen-e-Khalq, supported the Islamic leader Khomeini's rise to power by spreading the message that he was the awaited 12th Imam returning from occultation. It didn't end well for the leftists, by the way. After the revolution, in 6 months, close to 3,000 leftists were killed by the Islamic regime, with many more sent into exile or imprisoned. That was Iran in 1979. Right now, the only thing between the British far left and their socialist utopia is the British people. So don't expect Keir to take steps to defuse the situation, which he could do. He could acknowledge people's concerns, he could implement robust border controls, he could ensure arrivals integrate, he could break down siloed cultures in Britain before they balkanise, he could cap migration, he could deport criminals. But it's in the far left's interests that this gets worse. Anyway, sorry for doing such a serious video. I'm going to get back to fun stuff as soon as situations allow. I've actually got a video coming out on Meghan Markle in a few days, so you can subscribe for that or you can sign up to my Patreon to get early access. Okay, thanks for listening. I've been Leo Kears. Bye. Bye-bye.